work plan seminar, our Minister Mr. Chan actually mentioned that CCA is one of the key programs in school to enhance the 21st century competency, which is also known as the 21CC, to strengthen on our students' competency and disposition to thrive in the school as well as in the future. In particularly, he also mentioned about the 3 C's. Students being a creator, students being a connector, and the last one will be the contributor, being a contributor. Okay, so this is our first CCA philosophy. There are a few more to go. Please bear with me for that. Second, we also believe that at P2, it will be a very important milestone for our P2 because it is where we are giving our students that opportunity to exercise their decision making. So our second CCA philosophy is that students should make an informed decision when they are selecting a CCA. In this exercise for P2s, we value students' voice, okay, not the parents. That means we highly encourage our parents to listen to our students about their choices, give them the opportunity to voice out their opinion, allow them to tell you what are their choices and also the thinking behind their decision. For example, if they would like to join Wushu, then why is it that they would like to join Wushu? Is it because something that they are interested in? Or is it because through their PE lessons, they discover that they are very flexible, they enjoy performing, all right? Are these the reasons why they would like to join Wushu as a CCA? All right, so give them this opportunity to speak, listen to their voice, okay? And we believe that even though they are very young at P2, we want them to start making responsible decision. What do we mean by responsible decision? Which means whatever CCA that we have given them at the end of this year after the CCA registration, the students must be ready to accept any of the 3 preferred CCA choices. Okay, so that means first choice, second choice, third choice must be the choices that they are willing to join. Okay, because in life, not all the time we get our first choice, our first plan, our preferred plan might not always be the one that we were able to have in life. Okay, so third choice in life can also be a good choice, but the question is then how can you make the very best out of it? Okay, so this will be our second CCA philosophy. The third CCA philosophy, which I kind of mentioned it slightly earlier on as well, that students must learn or should learn to accept decision and give it a try. I mentioned earlier on, we may not get to do what we want all the time in life. We should always keep our options open because we might not always get to do what we set for in life. Okay, maybe on a personal note, all right, I think in the past when we were younger, we tend to talk about what would you want to do when you are older. All right, I think for myself, I wanted to be a pilot, but it wasn't fulfilled for many reasons. All right, then I have to look at then what will be my next option. Of course, the next option, I enjoy football. I wanted to be a footballer. Over the years, I tried, but again, it didn't, I wasn't managed to achieve that dream. Then the next best option is, then why not be a teacher? And I think right now, I managed to achieve that. I'm very happy. And of course, may not be my first choice. It's a third choice. Am I happy with my choice? I am. And of course, there will always be challenges along the way. The journey might not be smooth, okay, but it's something for us to embrace challenges and do our very best. And of course, in my journey as a teacher, of course, I do pick up skills, many skills. Okay, so Same goes for the students. All right, I often share my personal experience with my P2 classes about choices, and therefore it is very important that the students also, when they go back to you, they also start talking to you about what will be their second and third choices also. Okay, we believe that any CCA that they go in, there will be a set of skills that are transferable, okay, that they will be able to learn and that they can transfer from one CCA to another CCA. Okay, so again, I have been emphasizing to the students, all right, take this opportunity to learn new skills in whatever CCA that they are being allocated to, and try to apply those skills that they learn to other areas as well. All right, so I think even in, for example, in whatever we learn in let's say mathematics, right, how those concepts they learn in mathematics, can they also apply in PE? All right, these are things that we try during in our lesson. We see how we can transfer some skills over from one subject to another subject. So same goes for CCA. All right, whatever they learn in the CCA in school, then how do they transfer whatever they've learned to their outside school? Okay, so this is an example of a student right now that we have. Okay, if you allow me to introduce, this is Ignatius Chen. He's one of our students who is an avid swimmer. Okay, but he had a tough time when he was at P2, trying to accept that our school do not offer swimming. Okay, so we did had to talk to him to ask him, then how can he still have a CCA and yet continue to develop his talent in swimming. So at P3, he actually joined track and field with the understanding that at track and field he can work on his stamina, which is needed for him to do well in swimming. Okay, so so it worked very well for him, that to the extent that he's doing very well in swimming. He and his parents decided to join a even better swimming club, and they started to train. For this year, they started to train 5 times a week in 2023. All right, so at 2023 we had a discussion. We realized that 5 times a week of swimming training is very taxing for our student Ignatius, and parents have stepped forward and have conversations with us to see how the school can support him. So as such, after the discussion, we decided to help him, to support him. We allow him to actually change his CCA from track and field to infocom technology so that we can manage his training load. So in 2023, we are very happy to share that he did very, very well, and he managed to win 2 bronze medals for our school. Okay, so over here, as we go back to our philosophy, the first one is that everybody must have a CCA. In this case, Ignatius, he might have been doing swimming outside, but in school, he still need to have a CCA. He also need to accept that while there is no swimming as a CCA, he needs to accept that he needs to have a CCA in school, and then how having a particular CCA in the school can support him in his development for swimming. Okay, so this is a case study that we have that is applicable to our CCA philosophy. Right, so with that, then I would like to move on to actually share with all the parents what our students have gone through so far for these 2 years when they are in Admiralty Primary School. For the past 2 years, our students are exposed, or they have pair lesson in the classroom once a week, which is the program for active learning. And during this pair lesson, the P1 and P2s are given exposure and experiences through fun and varied activities that may facilitate their holistic development in the physical, cognitive, social, aesthetic, and the moral domains. And if I were to elaborate further, some of these activities are actually design that is very close to what our CCA are actually doing. So they have a bit of experience of what some of the CCAs are doing. We do have outdoor education, which what the Scouts and the Brownies are experiencing at the moment. We do also have games and sports, which our sports CCA are also experiencing. So while they do not have CCA, they do have a small bit of experience through PEP. Okay, and we talk about students exercising decision making. This is where our form teacher guidance period comes into play, where form teacher have lessons with students on how they can make informed decision. And in this case, we are educating or we are guiding the students when they make their decision to select the CCA. It should be based on their strength and their interests. As of yesterday, I believe everyone should have received the CCA inclination letter. I understand there are some parents who have questions about what this letter means. So with this letter, so what am I supposed to do next? So give me the next few minutes for me to explain what CCA inclination letter all about. So in Admiralty Primary School, we do not conduct trials. Okay, so what happened is that during the 2 years with us, during PEL, during PE, during art and music, our teachers observe our students and look out for attributes, look out for the necessary skills that might match to certain CCA. So with all this data, we triangulate and then we will advise the parents through the CCA inclination on what type of CCA might be best suited for your child. Okay, so but that doesn't mean that when you receive that letter, your child is guaranteed a place in the CCA. We would like to emphasize again that inclination is a piece of information for you to have when you are having a conversation with your child at home. All right, because we talk about making informed decision. Okay, at the end of the day, it is still the student's choice. All right, but they should try to consider selecting CCA that is based on the CCA inclination letter as part of their 3 choices. If they don't want to follow, again, like I mentioned, it is the student's voice. At the end of the day, the students must understand the reasons why they are making such decisions. So if now I just elaborate a bit with some examples. If you see in the CCA inclination letter that your child showed inclination towards dance, that means your child can consider joining Chinese dance, Indian dance, or even Malay dance for their CCA. In fact, the 3 choices, if your child really love dance, then the 3 choices should have all these 3 types of dance. Okay, but of course, if the child decides that, okay, first choice I want Chinese dance, and then the other 2 option they want to have something else, we are also perfectly fine. Again, I emphasize students' choice. Why students' choice? Because at the end of the day, it is the students who will have to go through the CCA. They are the one that is going to put in the effort every Monday. For some, will be every Wednesday or even Friday for them to prepare for their competition, their NSG, their SYF. So please bear that in mind. Okay. So these are these are the CCAs that are offered by the school. The details of what each CCA are doing can be found in the school website. You can log into our school website to find out more what each CCA are doing. Okay, but in the letter, you realize some of the children, they will have, for example, have inclination towards uniform group. That means the child can either go to a Scouts or the Brownies. Scouts is for the boys, Brownies is for the girls. So if your child has been identified or shown inclination towards music, that means your child can consider choosing the ensemble, which is the guitar or kuchen, or can even consider choir. But for some students, they show stronger inclination towards a specific CCA. For example, some of the children, they have inclination towards singing, therefore we listed in the letter as choir. Okay, for arts, it's not just visual arts. Arts can also be in the form of photography. Okay, all right. So now would be something that parents might want to consider when you're talking to the children would be the quota. We have to be very mindful about the quota because we are restricted by a few factors when we are allocating the students. Number one would be the space. Number two will be the equipments, and of course, the teacher-student ratio. And we are also very mindful about the number of students that we can actually register for the competition and so on and so forth. For example, the sports CCA, for majority of the sports CCA, usually we can register up to 10 boys and 10 girls. All right, we do not want to have too many students in the CCA, but we only can send 20 students for the competition. That means the remaining students will have no or very little opportunity to represent the school. We rather have a smaller pool so that the other students can actually be allocated to elsewhere so that they have a better chance of representing the school. You will realize that football, instead of 20, they have 16 because for football, their registration is 16 boys or 16 girls. Okay. For the uniform group, we had to be a bit more strategic because the number of students that we have will actually affect the point system for the awards that the brownies and the scouts are aiming for. So after doing some calculation, if the PAX, which means if the CCA can have more than 60 members from P3 to P6, then we are entitled to have 10 bonus points. So with the calculation, we have identified that we should have at least 15 boys in scouts and 15 girls for brownies. All right. For ensemble, it's also quite unique. For ensemble to do very well, especially during the performance, the number has to be big. If our guitar ensemble or even the choir is so small, then the impact during the performance will be very, very little. So as such, we are looking at about 15. This will be the minimum number of students that we are looking at, or rather the maximum, maximum. Okay. For Kuchen, although it's an ensemble, but after reviewing with our teachers, we are restricted with the logistic constraint, which means the size of the equipment and also the size of the training location. That means we cannot afford to have too many students in our training venue. And as such, we restrict to only 10. Okay. For visual art, we are looking at 10. Same for SYF, we can only register for 10 students. But please take note that for SYF, for visual art, they do not necessarily have to be in the visual arts club. The students can be identified during their art lesson if they are good enough to represent the SYF. So if your child is good in art, if they want to be in the CCA, go ahead, no problem. But if your child is good in art and want to also experience other CCA, we also highly encourage that. Then our encouragement to the children is that when you are doing your art lesson, give your best shot. Your final art piece, if you can, will be your best effort. Okay. So for your dance group, for our dance group, we are also looking at 10 because of the aesthetic part about the dance. If our dance, the number of dancers is too little, it will be very weird. if it's too many, it will also be too crowded on the stage itself. So 10 is a good number. For our clubs and societies, all our clubs and societies are basically run by our teachers, and we believe that there is a need for close attention from the teachers. So too big a CCA for these clubs and society, then our students might not have enough attention from the teachers to do well in our clubs and societies. Therefore, we have decided that 10 will be a good number. Okay, so let me assure you that these numbers, if we tally up all together, all right, it doesn't equate to our total number of students that we have in P2. All right, the numbers that if you add up all this, it is more than the 211 students that we have right now. Okay, so the numbers might the numbers we can definitely play around with. Okay, so this will be the quota, and this also can be your consideration when you speak to the student, because the students must understand, the children must understand that there are some CCAs that tend to have more applicants. If they are not being allocated to such CCA, then like I said earlier on, then they should be ready to be accepted their second or even third choice CCA. Okay, so this will be the timeline. Right now, we are at term 4, week 3. Before this, okay, you can see last term we have collected all the information from the teachers for us to have a general sense of what our students are like. And then last term as well, in week 8, we have our very first ECG lesson to talk about how decision makings can how it works, all right, how children should be there to be different, which means they don't necessarily have to follow their friends. Your friend wants to go to Chinese dance, because my friend is there, I shouldn't be joining my friend to go Chinese dance. If my friends want to go Chinese dance, but I feel that I am better suited in other CCA, then it's okay, go ahead. We are trying to tell the children that it's okay to be different from the rest of your friend. And of course, with that, then we also introduce the decision making part. All right. So today, or rather this week, two things that happened yesterday. All of us, all the parents, should receive the CCA inclination letter. If you have not seen it, please check with your child. It should be in their bag. Okay. And then, of course, today will be the CCA town hall, where later on we will also address some of your questions. In 2 weeks' time, we will have our CCA fair. Now, this CCA fair is to support the student in terms of finding out even more about the CCA. During the CCA fair, it is also an opportunity for the students to actually speak to their CCA leaders to find out more about their experiences so far in their CCA. There will also be some stations for them to try out some of the activities, simplified activities for them to try out in the CCA, so that they have a better idea what the CCA is all about. And then in term 4, week 8, we will have another ECG lesson to round up their decision making about what CCA they would like to join. When they leave that class, then that's where you and your child will have a final talk, have your final decision on what are the 3 options that you have, and then we log in these 3 choices in the online CCA registration. The online CCA registration link will be sent to you via PG in due time. Before we go for the holidays, we will then release the CCA allocation result, so that the students will have time over the holidays to get themselves mentally prepared, physically prepared for CCA when school reopen. Okay, so one unique thing about Admiralty, when school reopen, we are also ready to start to prepare our children for their CCA, start for their NSG, start prepare for the SYM. Okay, so this will be the timeline. So CCA fair will be during the pair lesson on the 11th of October from 12:10 to 2:10. It will be immediately after their lunch. So like I mentioned earlier on, it will be a time for them to converse with their CCA leaders, to ask questions, to try out some activities. Okay, this session, this CCA fair is not meant for parents. We would like to have that engagement between leaders and students. Each class will be given a time slot of about 40 minutes. Their PEL teachers will bring them to the venues, and then that's where the students will then proceed to the booth that they would like to visit and ask questions. So in the CCA booklet, where some of you might have already seen it, that's where we actually encourage the students to be strategic. When they go to the CCA fair, they should have a plan. Which CCA booth do I want to visit first? And what will be some of the questions that they have in mind that they would like to ask the CCA leaders? Of course, when there's time, additional time, then what they can do would be to go and also check out the remaining CCA booth if they want. Okay, so this is the CCA booklet that some of your children have already perhaps shown you, but let me assure you that whatever they have written in this booklet is not the final decision. This is more to document their thought processes. Their decision may change until the very last minute. So right now is for you to have that conversation to make sure that the students are clear on why they are selecting those CCA. So then how do you help your child to select the CCA? I mean, we have been saying this from just now about that conversation. That conversation is very important. This conversation, we are hoping that it will be a two-way conversation. Listen to your child first. Understand their needs, understand their thinking. Their thinking might not be very clear. They might not be able to articulate properly, but do probe them further so that they can justify their reasons. Of course, as parents, we also have our thinking, our plans for our children. Okay, but let's see how this conversation can help marry both the child's decision and your planning. Okay, of course, children, they are very young, they still need guidance. All right, and how then would be the consideration to make that decision? So we have been emphasizing to the children these two things when you are choosing your CCA. It should be based on something that you really like, something that you're willing to do it day in, day out, even when things get very difficult. Instead of giving up, they continue to try. Another thing for them to actually look at will be what are their strengths, what are things that they are good at that can put them in a very good advantage when they are in the CCA. Okay, again, I also have said this many times. The children needs to understand that they might not necessarily join the CCA of his or her first choice. And they need to take this opportunity to learn new skills, even though they are in the CCA of their third or second or third choice. Okay, so this conversation is very important. Right now, the next few slides will be some of the Q&A that I have gotten so far over the years, and we would like to address it. The first question would be, my child wants to join a CCA that is not listed in the CCA inclination letter. Can she still register for that? The answer is yes, you still can register, which means my child has been listed for dance, okay, but she would want to be in sports. So can my child still register for sports? The answer is yes. But we need to be ready. Okay, there's a possibility may not get into the into the CCA. Okay, but we will try our best to cater to our students. We can assure you that all students will get at least their first, second, or third choice. They will never be allocated to a CCA, not their choice. That's our promise to all the students. Okay. The next question will be, what if my child doesn't want to follow the inclination letter? Is it okay? The answer is yes. Again, we value the student's voice. It is okay if they do not want to follow, but again, the possibility is still the same. All right, but we do strongly encourage the child to follow their inclination. They need to understand what they are good at, what they are interested to do, and use this as a guiding principle when they are actually choosing their CCA, when they are making their decision. Next question. Then, should I as parent encourage my child to select a CCA that a higher chance of DSA? At this point of time, my town hall is not about DSA. My town hall is about selecting CCA. So at this point of time, let's choose a CCA based on their inclination first, based on their interest and their strength. Let's not talk about DSA with them at this point of time, because every CCAs have opportunity for DSA. Whether is it a direct or cross CCA. Direct CCA means if I am in Wushu, I can go for Wushu DSA. At the same time, I can also be in Wushu CCA, but when I want to apply for DSA, I can apply for, let's say, gymnastics DSA to a secondary school. So that is a cross DSA. We can also use leadership as a DSA to go to a secondary school of their choice. Okay, so instead of us focusing on the DSA right now, why not let's focus on selecting the right CCA for the child. And once we are in the CCA, let's focus on developing the best version of themselves, so that when the time comes at P6, when they apply for DSA, they will be shining, they will be able to stand out amongst the other students from the other school. Next question. What if my child submit only one CCA option during the online registration? This has been a problem for the past few years, and this year we want to put it on the record. There are two possible scenarios that we have parents and students in the past submitting only one option, which means Wushu, second choice, third choice, no option. We also have scenario where students and parents submitted three choices. Example, Chinese dance first choice, second choice also Chinese dance, third choice also Chinese dance. Now, in both scenario, we consider this as only one CCA option. So let's be fair to all students. Okay, when such things happen, we take it as you only submit one CCA, and for this group of students, they have to be prepared to be placed in any CCA that have vacancy. Okay, because we have make it very clear to the students, and today we also make it very clear to the parents that everyone needs to submit three options. Okay, so please have that open mind, okay, and have that three CCA options ready. Next, I think this is one of the popular questions asked by parents. Can my child change CCA? Okay, now students, they can apply to change, but we don't highly encourage. The change of CCA will be a case-by-case basis. We are very mindful when students actually apply to change. We are very you always want to find out what is the exact reason why they would like to change the CCA. We have told the kids many times, development takes time. We cannot be an excellent player in 1 year, in 1 month, overnight. We can't. There will always be obstacles along the way. The journey will not be smooth. We need to make sure that our kids are resilient enough to try their very best, overcome all these challenges and do their best. Okay, so we do not want our children to give up easily. Okay, but in the case where there is a request to change the CCA, then our advice will be get the students to have conversation with the teachers. Let's talk about it. Let's understand the situation better before we make any decision. Okay, because CCA is an opportunity for us to build their grit, build their resilience, and in the long run, it will help them in strengthening their mental well-being as well. Okay, so can we choose more than one CCA? The answer is yes, but not at P3. So at P3, let's just focus on one first. If we feel that you have the potential to do more than one CCA and that you can juggle both your academics and your CCA, then we might invite you to join the school team. And most of the time, the school team will train either on a Wednesday or a Friday. Okay. This is one of the popular questions this year. This year, there are enrichment classes ongoing for the P1 and P2s. Example, the Wushu, football, and Chinese dance. Does that mean that the child is guaranteed a place in the CCA? The answer is no. Okay, because enrichment program, they are not considered CCA in our school. It is just activity that we thought that we want to support the parents, because we understand that many of us here have more than one children and many of them have different interests. And for you to cater to their interests over the weekend, it might be a bit problematic. I can't think of a better word. Okay, so to support you, what we actually do is we offer our place to these enrichment classes for them to conduct the lessons, so that after school the children can just come to these classes, and then after that, on the weekend, you can spend time for more meaningful activities with your family. Okay, so those who are in the enrichment program, you still need to submit your 3 choices. If you are doing Wushu and you decided that the child don't want to do Wushu anymore, it's perfectly fine. If the child wants to do Wushu and want to register for Wushu, it's also perfectly fine. But again, they might not be guaranteed a place in the CCA. Okay, this is also another case study where the child actually asked, how does the CCA offer to school help him or her to develop an interest that they have been doing outside school? So this is one of our students. Her name is Arisha Adriana. She does gymnastics outside. So when we spoke to her, we were asking her, so we don't have gymnastics in school, so how are you going to choose your CCA? So this is what she actually said. She wants to choose Wushu because in Wushu, she can also train to be flexible, which is also important for gymnastics. Gymnastics require flexibility in order for her to do her routines. Okay, so she believed that by being in Wushu, she can also be a better gymnast. So this is coming from our student. Okay, next, can my child represent the school for a CCA not offered by the school? The answer is yes. This year, we have 2 of our students, one primary 1 student and one primary 2 students. They practice taekwondo outside, and they have approached us to ask if they can represent the school in taekwondo, and we are very happy to actually register them for the competition, and we are also very pleased to share that they done very well. For Chazelle, she won a gold medal, whereas for Hao Yu, he actually achieved a bronze medal. But in this arrangement, a parent might be appointed by the school to be the school appointed adult representative, which is also known as SARP. So SARP works like the team manager in the absence of a teacher. So the parent, when it comes to any contest, when it comes to any if there's a need to contact anyone during the competition, then this SARP will be the person to look for. Okay. So if you have not started your conversation with your children, it is not too late to start now. Ask them what will be the 3 options. What will be the 3 options? What will be the reasons behind their decision? If your child at this point of time have one option, then it is time for you to start exploring with them other options as well. And also we need to start preparing themselves mentally in the event that they are not being assigned to their first choice. They have to be ready for their second and third choice. Okay. So CCA registrations will open immediately after the CCA fair, after the lesson with the teachers. Okay, but before you register, please have the final conversation with your child first. Okay, the registration is not based on first come first serve. Okay, so do take note of that. All right, so now I will take the time to answer some of the questions. Okay, if we choose the CCA activities, but the activities have already, the quota is already full. Okay, so again, this is where we talk about the 3 options. Okay, in the event the quota is full, then we will look into your child's second and third choice. Okay, and that's where the allocation, how the allocation will be done. Okay, so again, like I say, the importance of the second and the third choice. In the event there is a full quota, fully subscribed, then we need to start looking at the children's second and the third choice. Okay, so next question. I read somewhere previously and saved in my calendar that CCA registration date will be on the 9 to 11. However, I see the date on the paper yesterday. It will be from 2nd to 6th. Okay, has it been changed? Yes, it has been changed. Yeah, so we have been changed to the 2nd and 6th. So the letter that you received yesterday will be the latest version. Okay. If my child cannot get into the CCA and for the activities, my child are not interested, then what can we do? Okay. Okay. So so what you are saying right now that your child, if I were to rephrase this, okay, my child wanted to go to the first choice but didn't get, then how? Okay, so that's where we are strongly encouraging all the parents to talk to the child. If let's say plan A doesn't work, then what will be the plan B and the plan C? This one, I know this will be a very difficult conversation, but this is something that the students need to live with. They need to have a understanding that in life, we may not always get our first choice. We must be ready for a second and third choice. Okay. How does CCA allocation work? Is there a balloting system? Okay. So I think for this one, we have to look case by case. We have to look from CCA to CCA. Not all CCA will end up with a balloting system. Some CCA are fully subscribed. Some CCA are undersubscribed. CCAs that are fully subscribed will we will have to consider doing a balloting system. Okay, is it compulsory to join a CCA like what we mentioned earlier on during our CCA philosophy, that yes, CCA is compulsory. We see the importance of CCA. We believe CCA can help the students to have a sense of belonging to the school. When they have a sense of belonging to the school, they will be more settled and they would be able to do better in school. Next question. Okay. Okay. If my child don't get the CCA, can she still join the enrichment class like Wushu or Kuchen? Or does the enrichment class is only for the P1 and P2? can she represent the school for competition if she is in the enrichment class, not under CCA? Okay, so let me just answer the question one by one. The first question, if the child doesn't get into the CCA, can he or she join the enrichment class? The answer is yes. For now, football, wushu, the enrichment class is open for P3 onwards as well. But for dance at this point of time, it's only for the P1 and P2. But if there is a demand for Chinese dance to go beyond the P3 level, then we might want to speak to our vendor to offer such program. Can the child represent the school in the competition if she is the enrichment class? Our answer to this would be yes. I think while our teachers are not around during this enrichment class, our teachers are also very strategic to actually sometimes look at the class to find out any potential players that they would like to have in their CCA. So don't be surprised if your child is in the enrichment class and then they are invited to the school team, even though they are not in the CCA. Okay. Which one? What happens if 2 years down the road, the child is not aligned to the CCA despite all the best effort and it's just not working out based on the interest, and personally, is the school open to reconsider another case, a CCA case by case? Yes. Like I mentioned earlier on, for this, we are okay for them to apply to change CCA. Before we endorse any change, we always have a conversation with the children first. We also want to make sure before they change the CCA. For example, I just give an example. A child wants to change a CCA because the child feels that they lost interest. But when we have conversation with the child, we realize that the child have not been doing the CCA work right from the start. And then they just say that I lost interest. I think such case, we might be very worried about the attitude, the mindset towards the CCA. We would rather the child complete the work first, and then we have that conversation to have an understanding that I've tried, I've done all my part, but I still don't like it. I think I would like to change. Then I think it is worth having that conversation. And I think if the effort has been done in due diligence, I don't see a reason why we cannot allow the child to change their CCA. But if the child has not been doing work right from the start, then I
Hi, can you all hear me? It's good. Okay. Very good afternoon, parents. Apologies, there's some technical difficulty on Mr. Farhan's laptop at this moment. Let me continue on his response from there. I think the question was with regard to the appeal of CCA. And I wanted to just answer that question and also a few more other questions. I think I can sense a bit of anxiety, quite a bit of anxiety from parents in general about the choice of CCA. You know, what if the CCA is not the right fit? What if the child doesn't like the CCA, or has got his own his or her own concerns about CCA. I think the short to the question of whether you can try and change the CCA after a couple of years or 1 or 2 years if things don't align, I think the short answer to that is yes, we can have a conversation about that. No issues about having a conversation about that. We want to hear from not just yourself, actually more importantly for me, more importantly for my kids, I want to hear from the child. I think it's important for us to hear from the student the reasons for wanting to change the CCA. And if reasons that come out for us is one of, is it a case whereby the child really, while he or she has put in all the hard work that they can do, tried very, very hard, but at the end of the day, the interest is really still lacking. All right, then I think that is something we can definitely consider. And I think that I also want to make sure that we do give the child something that he or she is interested in. But I have also witnessed for myself as well over the years as an educator, where the children go into it from the mindset right from the beginning is that I already don't like this CCA. Hence, I'm not going to put in the hard work. So it is a mindset issue, and it's not an issue about whether they really like the CCA or not. Right from the start, they had gone in with a certain negative mindset, not knowing what to expect from the CCA, and hence the hard work didn't come in. And after 1 or 2 years, they're just coasting by, and they just keep asking that they want to change the CCA. Then my question is this: where is the perseverance in our children? Where is the determination and resilience? Because if we were to put them and change them to another CCA, is there any guarantee that the child will be able to pick it up from there and do well? And if not, what is the signal that we have given to our children? That every time something doesn't go our way, we appeal, we ask for it, we get a choice in change, and we don't make the best of what is given to us. I don't want to use other people's examples, but I use my own child's example. My girl recently made me quite upset when she actually asked me, Papa, can I not do ballet? Because actually I sent my girl out for ballet on the Sundays. My girl is not in primary school yet, but the reason why I had sent her for ballet in the first place was because she was the one who told me she wanted to do ballet. But 2 years down the road, she was the very same person who told me that she didn't want to do ballet. Now, I gave her a hard time for that. I kept asking her, why is it that you don't want to do ballet? Because you were the one who told me you wanted to do ballet in the first place. And she gave me her reasons. And after listening to the reasons, I told her, unfortunately, these reasons are not good reasons. Because it didn't reveal to me that you are willing to persevere, you're willing to put in the hard work and to try your best for it. And I told her that the day will come that you have given in your 100%. You have really tried very hard for it. And you have improved in your skills and all. And when the day comes, you come to me and say, but I still don't have interest in it, then I think we can have a discussion about it. Do you understand where I'm coming from, parents, regarding the mindset that we want to build in our children? I think there's a very big difference if, let's say, the children are putting in that hard work, but things are not going their way in terms of interest level. I think we can have a conversation about that because indeed it might be a wrong fit. But if they are not putting in the hard work, you can see that, and then they are constantly always telling themselves, I just don't like the CCA. Then I think something needs to be done in terms of helping them to shape their mindsets. Okay, so thank you for asking that question. I hope that has also given you a sense of where we are coming from when it comes to building the values in our children. So then, if I may also take the chance to then answer, I think there's one more question about, yeah, so there's a question from, I believe it's Mr. Toh, a few about in terms of who determines who to go in first and last. Like we mentioned, I think there will be a certain matching that we want to make, a matching between the children's inclinations, the choices that they are making, right? Whether first choice, second choice, third choice, as well as the inclinations that we have based on our teachers' observations over a whole suite of different platforms, be it through, say, PE, music class, all the different say PAL lessons and all that. We have certain observation that we try and do a certain matching. All right. We definitely pay quite a lot of attention to our children's voices. That's why the first, second, third choices need to be filled. And again, my encouragement to all parents here is I do want to emphasize this bit. Fill in all 3 choices and fill them in. They must be different, unique CCAs. Because the moment that you fill in, let's say, Wushu, 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 I think the signal that we are sending to our children is also a wrong one. That means you are trying to tell the school that it's only Wushu and Wushu only. But if, let's say, from our perspective is that we can't give the child Wushu for very good reasons. In a batch of P2s, I have 210 students. I have 19 CCAs. It's a case whereby I do have to allocate certain resources. I do have to do a certain allocation of children to the CCAs. Like what was mentioned by Mr. Farhan at the start as well. Let's also generate that kind of value in our children to understand that we may not always get number 1 choice in life, right? To a certain extent, it's also telling them that in life, you will not always think that everything is fair and 100% going the way that we exactly want it to be. But what's the most important thing here is to try and get them to understand that regardless of whatever choices that I've made and whatever I get in, how do I make the best out of it? I think that's the most important thing to be able to grow in our children. how do I make the best of the situation that I have? So if let's say I don't get into my first choice, if I get my second or my third choice, actually it's still one of my three choices. Go into it with an open mind, try it out, and then understand that I'm going to make the best out of it. And you won't be surprised to see that actually our children, when they give themselves that kind of mindset, that I will do my best and make the best out of what is given to me, they really make it work. I have heard of so many children, just as an example, nothing against this particular CCA I'm going to raise. I'm going to mention Scouts as an example. I've heard from children before the reasons why initially they didn't want to sign up for Scouts. But if you realize that our children who go through Scouts, as an example, come out extremely resilient, able to persevere, they are able to pick up skills in the scouting journey. And they realize that along the course of that, parents' mindsets about this CCA change as well. They see that it's a bit rugged. That's true. Our children have to go through all these kinds of activities, but they see that children do. Also, so parents, I think let's approach it with that kind of mindset, where we approach it with that kind of mindset and have the conversation with our children about making these choices and be excited about going into a CCA. It could be a CCA that you have never heard of before. It could be a CCA that teaches you brand new skills. But that's what growing up is all about. That's what the education journey is all about. Doing something that might be different. It might not always be something that you are very strong in. Okay? Or if you get into something that is your strength, very good, you can continue to deepen your skills and your strengths in those areas. So regardless of that choice, how do we make the best of it? What is the kind of positive and optimistic thinking that we're getting our children to be with us on? I think that will grow our children to be positive and to embrace the CCA that comes to them at the end of the day. Okay, I hope you understand where we are coming from, and I hope that actually gives us a good idea about it. Okay. Also, if I may then look at the last question, given the fact that they're still very young, very much in the discovery stage of development, possibility of loss of interest as it links to their intrinsic motivation. Agree? They do need some form of guided direction in making this decision. Hope the school is open to this aspect when it comes to CCA too. That we have the avenue to voice our concerns to school when time comes. Agree. So again, I think back to, I'm not sure whether you are the same person who has asked the question earlier about possible appeal. Again, no problem. I think that when that time comes, we should have that conversation. I'm definitely not close to the idea that a possible switch in the CCA may take place. But we go back to what was the reason, what are the reasons for that possible changes. All right. Let me just pause there for a while more and see if there are any more questions. Okay. So once again, just want to say thank you very much, parents. I know we have very involved parents at Admiralty Primary School. That's also one of the very good things about our school, because we have involved parents. You all know how to actually guide the children. So partner us in this journey in how to guide the children, building those skills, building those kinds of mindsets in our children when we approach CCA. Okay, thank you very much, parents. It's already 5:01. I think we will draw this to a close. If you subsequently have questions, please continue to post them to us. All right, you can go through the form teachers as well to ask questions. They will refer it to either the heads or to myself as well. Okay. Can you see my questions, Mr. To? Mr. To, yes, I can see your questions. In fact, that was what I was what I was responding to just now, when you asked about how do we allocate the kids to the CCA fairly, is if there is a quota. Like we mentioned, what we actually look at is that we look at the choices of our children, right? If let's say children actually indicate, they need to indicate that first choice, second choice, third choice. And at the same time, we also make use of the inclination that has been provided based on the observations of the teachers across board. Okay, so whether they are more inclined towards saying possibly a musical kind of CCA as compared to the sports CCA, as compared to all the other clubs and societies. Okay, then there will be some kind of matching that we are trying to. So because there is a particular quota, there is no need for us to do, like, for example, PSLE, right? I don't think there is any test that needs to be done for us to indicate and say that, okay, this child goes into a school first, followed by second child, third child. There's no need to do that. Based on the quota that we have, based on the trying to match the interests of the children, the first choice, second choice, as well as the third choice, and then we match it with the inclination that has been provided by the teachers as well. Okay, so that's why, like we mentioned, please make sure that all three choices are indicated clearly. With these three choices that are indicated clearly, we will definitely do our utmost to make sure that even if it's not the first choice given to the child, we'll do our utmost to say that the second choice and the third choice can be allocated to the children. And any of these three choices, as long as it's placed out there, I believe that out of 19 CCAs, at least three choices of these CCAs should be able to appeal to our children. Okay, so do encourage your children. Don't need to be too narrow in terms of making sure that, okay, there's only one CCA that I'm interested in and there are no other CCAs I'm interested in. I don't think that should be the case. If you remember back to our own time when we were in school, choosing our own CCAs, we usually are also advised, choose a range of CCAs, not just one or two, that's it. Okay, so I hope that I've addressed your question. Thank you so much, Mr. To. Okay, if that's the case, okay, so if any further questions, please feel free. You can also email Mr. Farhan. I think that Mr. Farhan had given the email at the start of the session. Also, please feel free to give us a call as well. All right, thank you so much, parents. Thank you very much.